You ever wonder why some people seem unshakable, like nothing can throw them off balance? It's not because they've mastered life or dodged every curveball. It's simpler than that, they've accepted it all. The highs, the lows, the stuff that feels like it's tearing you apart. They've stopped fighting the truth of what is, and in that surrender, they've found something most of us are still chasing: real freedom. Not the kind where you control everything, but the kind where nothing controls you. That's the secret ancient philosophers, warriors, and sages knew. They didn't run from fear or pain, they looked it in the eye and said, "Okay, you're here. Now what?" Most of us? We're stuck in a tug-of-war with reality. We waste so much energy arguing with what's already happened. You know the feeling, replaying that moment someone let you down, obsessing over why life didn't go your way, or beating yourself up over a mistake you can't undo. It's not the thing itself that's breaking you, it's the fight you're putting up against it. Acceptance isn't about rolling over or saying everything's fine when it's not. It's about stopping the mental wrestling match with things you can't change. Because the moment you do, you take back your power. Think about it, life doesn't play by your rules. It doesn't care about your 5-year plan or how you thought things should go. And the sooner you accept that, the lighter you feel. It's like you've been carrying a backpack full of bricks, regrets, grudges, what-ifs, and acceptance is just setting it down. You don't have to love the pain or agree with the unfairness, but when you stop arguing with it, it stops owning you. That's when you start to feel the shift. The noise in your head quiets. The weight on your chest lifts. You're not trying to rewrite history anymore, you're standing in the present, ready for whatever comes next. This isn't about being passive. It's about being present. When you accept what's happening, really accept it, not just grit your teeth and fake it, you stop leaking energy into battles you'll never win. You've been in that spiral, haven't you? Something goes wrong, a job falls through, a relationship ends, someone betrays you, and you spend days, maybe weeks, stuck in, "This shouldn't have happened." But it did. And the longer you fight that truth, the longer you're trapped. Acceptance is the key that unlocks the cage. It's not giving up, it's choosing to stop punishing yourself for things you didn't control. Here's the wild part, when you stop resisting reality, you start to see it differently. The things that used to crush you, a rejection, a failure, a loss, they don't disappear, but they lose their grip. You start to realize the pain isn't the problem, it's the story you've been telling yourself about it. "I'm not enough. I should have done better." Those are just narratives, not facts. And when you let go of those stories, you're not just surviving anymore, you're thriving. You're not waiting for life to apologize or make sense. You're moving forward, untouchable, because you've made peace with the mess. That's the kind of strength that changes everything. It's not loud or flashy. It's quiet, steady, rooted. It's the kind of power that comes from knowing you don't need the world to bend for you to stand tall. You don't need everyone to get you. You don't need every door to open. You just need to keep showing up, whole and unapologetic, ready to write the next chapter. So, you've started to see it, right? The moment you stop fighting what is, something shifts inside you. It's not that life suddenly hands you a perfect script, it's that you stop needing it to. You're not begging for the past to change or for people to act the way you want. You're done chasing apologies that might never come. That's when you start to feel it, this quiet, unshakable strength. It's like you've been holding your breath your whole life, and now you're finally exhaling. That's what acceptance does, it sets you free, not from the pain, but from the chains you put on yourself trying to escape it. Most people think freedom means getting everything you want, money, love, success, you name it. But that's a trap. The more you chase those things, the more you're tied to them. Real freedom is when you don't need anything to be different to feel whole. It's when a setback hits, and instead of spiraling into, "Why me?" you just nod and keep moving. It's when someone walks out of your life, and you don't waste months trying to figure out why. You let it be what it is. That's power. That's you taking the reins back from a world that's always trying to pull you off course. Let's talk about the stories we tell ourselves, because that's where most of us get stuck. You know those loops in your head? If only I'd said this. If they hadn't done that. I should be further along by now. Those aren't just thoughts, they're anchors. They keep you tied to moments that are already gone. Acceptance is what cuts those ropes. It's not about pretending the past didn't hurt, it's about refusing to let it define you. When you stop replaying the should-haves and what-ifs, you make room for what's actually here. You start seeing the present for what it is, not a punishment, but a chance to build something new. And here's the thing, the world wants you to stay stuck. Think about it, half the systems out there, from social media to advertising, thrive on your insecurity. They want you desperate, chasing validation, comparing yourself to some polished version of life that doesn't exist. But when you accept yourself, all of you, the scars, the mistakes, the parts you've been hiding, you become dangerous to that noise. You stop buying into the idea that you need to fix yourself to be enough. You stop performing for people who don't even see you. You start moving through life with this quiet confidence that says, I'm here, and that's enough. That shift? It changes how you show up. You stop over-explaining your choices. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You set boundaries without guilt, because you've accepted that not everyone's going to like it, and that's okay. Their approval isn't your currency anymore. You're not here to make everyone comfortable, you're here to live your truth. And the funny thing is, the less you try to prove yourself, the more people feel your presence. It's not about being loud or forcing your way, it's about standing so firmly in who you are that no one can shake you. Acceptance also means letting go of the need to control how others see you. You can't make everyone understand your story, and you don't have to. Some people will twist your words, misjudge your intentions, or just flat out miss the point. Let them. Their misunderstanding isn't your burden to carry. When you accept that, you stop wasting energy on battles that don't matter. You start investing that energy in yourself, in healing, in growing, in becoming someone who doesn't need the world's permission to shine. Here's where it gets real. Acceptance isn't just about letting go of the past or the pain, it's about embracing the fact that you don't need to be anyone's version of perfect to be whole. Most of us are walking around carrying this invisible checklist, thinking we need to check every box, career, relationships, looks, status, before we're allowed to feel okay. But that's a lie we've been sold. The moment you accept yourself, flaws and all, you stop waiting for the world to give you permission to exist. That's when you start living on your own terms. Think about how much energy you've spent trying to fix things that weren't broken to begin with. Maybe it's the way you second-guess your decisions, or how you shrink yourself to avoid making waves. Maybe it's the guilt you feel when you say no, like you owe everyone your time and energy. That's not freedom, that's conditioning. We've been taught to believe that being good means pleasing everyone, that our worth depends on how well we perform for others. But when you accept that your job isn't to make everyone else comfortable, you start to move differently. You stop apologizing for who you are. This doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you care smarter. You stop pouring energy into people who don't value it. You stop chasing closure from situations that were never going to give it to you. Acceptance is like clearing out a cluttered room, you make space for what actually matters. You start investing in the things that light you up, the people who see you, the goals that feel true. And the best part? You don't need to explain it to anyone. Your peace becomes your filter, and the wrong people just start fading out of your life without you even trying. Here's a truth bomb, most of the chaos in your head comes from trying to control things that were never in your control. You can't make someone love you. You can't undo a choice you made 5 years ago. You can't force life to follow your timeline. And the more you fight that, the more exhausted you get. Acceptance is what flips the script. It's not about giving up, it's about redirecting your energy to what you can shape, your mindset, your actions, your next step. When you stop trying to grip the wheel of life so tightly, you realize you don't need to steer every turn to get where you're going. And yeah, it's uncomfortable at first. Sitting with reality, especially when it's messy, feels like staring into a storm. But the more you do it, the more you realize the storm doesn't have to break you. You can stand in it, feel the rain, and keep walking. That's what acceptance does. It doesn't stop the rain, but it stops you from drowning in it. You start to see that the things you thought were holding you back, the rejections, the failures, the moments you didn't measure up, were never the problem. They were just part of the path, pushing you toward who you're meant to become. When you accept it all, you stop seeing life as a series of obstacles and start seeing it as a teacher. Every loss, every bruise, every time you fell and got back up, it's all been shaping you. Not into someone weaker, but into someone wiser, someone who knows their worth doesn't depend on what they've lost or what they've gained. You become someone who can face anything, not because you're fearless, but because you've learned that fear doesn't get the last word. You do. You know what's wild? Once you start accepting things, really accepting them, not just nodding along, you stop being afraid of the quiet. Most people run from stillness because it forces you to face the stuff you've been dodging, the regrets, the doubts, the parts of yourself you've tried to hide. But when you lean into that discomfort, when you let it just be without trying to fix it or distract yourself, something incredible happens. You realize those shadows you've been running from? They're not as scary as you thought. They're just parts of you, waiting for you to stop judging them. Acceptance is like turning on a light in a room you've kept dark forever. Suddenly, you see the mess isn't a monster, it's just a pile of old stories you don't need to carry anymore. That breakup that broke you? It taught you what you won't settle for. That failure you're still embarrassed about? It showed you how to get back up. When you stop labeling those moments as bad or wrong, you strip them of their power to haunt you. You start to see your life not as a series of mistakes, but as a map that's led you exactly where you are, stronger, wiser, and more yourself than ever. And here's the kicker: when you accept your own story, you stop needing other people to validate it. You don't need their approval to feel whole. You don't need their apologies to move on. You stop waiting for someone to say, "You're enough," because you've already decided it's true. That's when you become unstoppable. Not because you've got everything figured out, but because you've stopped tying your worth to things outside your control. You're not begging for a seat at someone else's table, you're building your own. This is where the world starts to feel different. People who used to rattle you, they don't anymore. Their opinions, their judgments, their side eyes, they just slide off. Not because you're cold or closed off, but because you're rooted. You've accepted that not everyone's going to get you, and that's fine. You're not here to be everyone's cup of tea, you're here to be your own. And the people who matter? They'll feel that shift. They'll be drawn to you, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you're not. Your energy becomes magnetic when you stop chasing and start standing still. That stillness, it's not weakness. It's power. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to shout or prove itself. It's you saying, "This is who I am, take it or leave it," without saying a word. And the more you live from that place, the less you tolerate chaos that doesn't belong to you. You stop holding on to relationships that drain you. You stop chasing goals that don't feel like yours. You start making choices from a place of clarity, not desperation. That's when life starts to flow, not because it got easier, but because you stopped fighting its current. Acceptance also means letting go of the need to control every outcome. You can't make everything perfect. You can't force every door to open. But you can choose how you walk through the ones that do. You can choose to show up fully, even when it's messy, even when it's uncertain. Because here's the truth, life isn't out to get you. It's not punishing you with delays or detours. It's just life, doing what it does, unfolding, shifting, teaching. And when you accept that, you stop seeing every challenge as a roadblock and start seeing it as a redirection, guiding you towards something you couldn't have planned. When you accept it all, the wins, the losses, the moments you'd rather forget, you start to move through life differently. It's not that the world stops throwing punches, it's that you stop taking them personally. You realize the chaos, the setbacks, the people who walked away, they're not attacks on your worth. They're just part of the rhythm of being human. And when you stop fighting that rhythm, you find a kind of peace that doesn't depend on everything going your way. That's the game changer. You become free, not because life got predictable, but because you stopped needing it to be. Most of us are exhausted from trying to outrun uncertainty. We want guarantees on our relationships, our plans, our future. We grip so tightly to the idea of how things should be that we miss what's actually happening. But when you accept that life isn't a script you can edit, you stop bracing for the next plot twist. You start flowing with it instead. A door closes? You don't panic. Someone misunderstands you? You don't lose sleep. You've accepted that not everything needs to make sense for you to keep going. That's when you become dangerous, not to others, but to the systems that thrive on your doubt. Think about how much of your energy goes into explaining yourself. You justify your choices, soften your boundaries, overthink every word just to avoid being misjudged. But when you accept that some people will never get it, you stop performing for them. You stop shrinking your truth to fit their comfort zone. Your silence, your refusal to over-explain, becomes your strength. It's not about being cold, it's about protecting your peace. The right people don't need you to spell it out. They feel your energy, respect your space, and meet you where you are. The rest? They'll drift away, and you'll let them, because you've accepted that not everyone's meant to stay. This is where you start to rewrite your relationship with yourself. You stop betraying your own voice to keep the peace. You stop pretending you're fine when you're not, just to avoid rocking the boat. Acceptance means owning every part of you, the messy, the raw, the unpolished, and realizing that's what makes you whole. You don't need to hide the cracks or edit your story to be worthy. Those cracks are where your strength lives. They're proof you've survived, learned, and kept going. And when you accept them, you stop letting anyone use them against you. Here's the beautiful part: the more you accept yourself, the less you need from the outside. You stop chasing love to feel enough. You stop chasing success to prove your value. You start making choices from a place of inner calm, not outer pressure. That's when your life starts to align, not because you forced it, but because you stopped forcing. You let go of the need to control every detail, and suddenly, things start falling into place. Not perfectly, but authentically. You start attracting what's meant for you, not what you thought you had to earn. And when the storms come, because they will, you don't crumble. You've accepted that discomfort is part of the deal. It's not a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're growing. You don't need life to be smooth to feel steady. You've built something stronger than circumstances, a foundation that doesn't shake, no matter what comes. That's the power of acceptance. It's not about escaping the chaos, it's about realizing you can stand in it, whole and unafraid, because you've made peace with all of it. Here's the final piece of the puzzle: when you accept it all, every scar, every stumble, every moment you thought broke you, you become untouchable. Not because you've built walls or shut the world out, but because you've stopped letting it define you. You're no longer at war with your past, your fears, or the opinions of people who don't even know you. You've made peace with the fact that life is messy, unpredictable, and sometimes unfair. And in that peace, you find a strength that nothing can shake. That's the kind of power that changes everything, not just for you, but for everyone around you. This isn't about becoming numb or detached. It's about showing up fully, feeling everything, but not letting it control you. When you accept that some things will hurt, some people will leave, and some plans will fall apart, you stop living in reaction mode. You don't spiral when someone betrays you. You don't collapse when a dream doesn't pan out. You breathe, you nod, and you keep moving. Not because you're invincible, but because you've learned that your worth doesn't hinge on what happens to you. It's rooted in who you are, and no one can take that away. That's what scares the world the most, someone who doesn't need its approval. Someone who walks away from drama without a fight. Someone who sets boundaries without a speech. When you accept yourself, you stop auditioning for roles you were never meant to play. You stop explaining your choices to people who aren't listening. You stop chasing closure from situations that were never going to give it to you. Your presence becomes enough, quiet, steady, unapologetic. And the people who thrive on chaos? They can't handle it. They need your reaction, your doubt, your over-explaining. When you stop giving it, they lose their grip. This is where your life starts to feel like yours again. You're not carrying the weight of old grudges or borrowed expectations. You're not trying to fix a version of yourself that was never broken. You're just living, fully and freely, in a way that feels true. And the crazy thing is, the more you lean into that, the more the world responds. Opportunities show up. The right people find you. Not because you're chasing them, but because you've stopped chasing anything. You've accepted that what's meant for you will come when it's time, and what's not will fall away. So, here's your reminder, you don't need to control the storm to stand in it. You don't need everyone to understand you to be whole. You don't need the past to make sense to move forward. Acceptance is the moment you stop negotiating with what is and start building with what you've got. It's you saying, "This is my story, every chapter, every page, and I'm done apologizing for it." That's when you become the author of your own life, not a character in someone else's. If this hits home, don't just keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below and tell me what part of this spoke to you loudest. Hit that like button if it gave you a spark of clarity, and subscribe if you're ready for more of this, raw, real, and straight to the point. You're not here to be everyone's version of perfect. You're here to be you, unedited and unafraid. That's more than enough.